and welcome, future Dolphins. Congratulations on your recent admission to our school. My name is Jeanette, and I'm a fourth-year student here at CSU Channel Islands. Today, we will be highlighting Chicano Studies, and here with us today, we have Dr. Alamillo, professor in Chicano and Chicano Studies Department here at CSU Channel Islands. Hello, Dr. Alamillo, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Welcome, admitted Dolphins.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started, please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the Chicano Studies program.
Sure. So my name is Professor Jose Alamillo. I'm the chair of the Chicano Studies program here on our campus. And we are a very young program. We started in 2008, and now we're going on our 12th year, so well, 13th year really, and we specialize really in the focus of examining Mexican American Latino communities in the United States, but with also connections in Latin America. And we're very much an interdisciplinary program, which means that we combine all kinds of disciplines from history, sociology, and we try to also infuse your classes with service learning projects so that you can apply what you're learning in the classroom to real life, right? So that's just one thing we do, but we do many other things that help you to stay focused and succeed and graduate in 4 years.
That's great. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the most popular courses, minors, or options within the major?
Sure. So most of our students in our program tend to be minors. We have over 150, actually, the last count of minors. And many of them become minors because they ultimately discover our program later in their career. And so it's important that when you are admitted to Channel Islands, that you take a course and see and check it out. And then you'll most likely be persuaded to minor, right? And minoring is really simple. It's just 5 classes plus a language requirement. And most of our minors tend to be in psychology, health science, Spanish, history, and sociology. But we also have majors that want to graduate with a double major. So we also have that phenomena in our department. And so one of the reasons why they want to do a double major is because they want to do an internship with us. And I can talk a little bit more about that. But also they get experience doing undergraduate research. They get to attend academic conferences at the national level. So they get to really dig deeper into the field once they major.
That's great. So before we go into any type of undergraduate research, internships, can you tell us if there's any type of academic background that a student should have before entering?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think we get all kinds of students from any academic background. You'd be surprised. I think the only requirement that I would say is a willingness to learn about who they are. I always tell students, if you come in with that desire to know a little bit more about who you are and your identity and how it relates to your culture, your history, that's all you need, right? Because to know self is to know your history. So that's really what we teach about and promote. And so that's really the only requirement that you need.
That's great. Now, can you expand a little bit more on some of the opportunities to participate in that undergraduate research or internships?
Yeah, so there's different ways that we can participate in undergraduate research. And so the first is you can take a capstone course with us. You could do a senior thesis course. And those are two options that we give students. So a senior thesis is really where the student develops their own research project, independent of a faculty's interests. But the faculty is there to guide you and mentor you, right? So it's very much a very individualized one-to-one kind of mentoring. But you also have a capstone, right, where the students work on the faculty's research. And so they become kind of a research assistant, so to speak. And then that's how they learn the research process. So those are two ways to do that. Now, we also encourage them to take advantage of, attending like our campus undergraduate research conference, but we also provide students the opportunity to travel with a faculty member to attend the National Association of Chicana and Chicano Studies conference. typically held every year in a different state throughout the United States. And we provide travel and lodging free of cost for students. And let me tell you, they get an entirely different kind of experience outside of campus, because for the first time they're with their peers and they're with the faculty in a very academic environment, and they really get a lot out of that. So that's one of the unique thing about our department, is that we really provide those opportunities to do research, but also to present the research to national audiences.
That's great. Thank you. And what kinds of jobs do students seek after graduation?
All kinds. Many of our students do all kinds of jobs. I think the main path that many of our graduates go towards is graduate school. I see many of our graduates go on and earn their master's, their MFT, MSW, PhD, right? So they want to continue learning, right? For those that want to take some time off, they go into jobs like in the health sector. They do a lot of jobs related to helping their community. In fact, that's one of the things that I see across the board is with our graduates, is that they come with that desire to give back to their community, right? So they're going to find jobs in that area, whether it's nonprofit, working in community-based groups to help alleviate the poor health outcomes of the community, or the poverty rates. They may work for different organizations and even government agencies, right? They're going to help with the housing situation, maybe the unemployment and job situation that they're facing, and so they're going to work with a lawyer to help them make sure that they get their their laws, right, and they know the labor rights, and so they're going to work to make sure that they get compensated for what they earn. And so those are kinds of just a few ideas that in terms of what graduates end up doing.
And would you say that these undergraduate research opportunities and internships help prepare students for graduate school?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think that the best, yes, of course. So the best is for many of them to get their feet wet by presenting the research, both sort of on campus, but also in a national conference, as I mentioned. But also, I think learning the process of research, I think, is also helps prepare them. But more than anything is the writing, right? Because one of the things in graduate school is that they have to have strong writing. And so they're required to take a writing course in our major called usually GWAR, which is graduate writing in the major. And through that, they're able to build up a kind of growth mindset in writing. And that's something that I teach a lot about, what I call si se puede mindset. Because it's yes, you can do it. You can be a good writer. You just have to have the determination and will to do it. And so that's how they are able to gain those skills is through the coursework that they're taking with professors in our department.
That's great. And so I know you touched on a little bit how this program is interdisciplinary. What would you say are some of your favorite classes to teach?
Oh my God, I have too many to share with you, but well, I love to teach the 331, which is the transborder theory in writing, because I love to teach writing. That's one of the things that I struggled when I was a student. And so because of that experience, I know what the students are going through in their writing. And so I love to teach that class because I get to instill kind of si se puede mindset in writing. But I also like to teach the theory class for anyone, because by then you have most of the students being seniors and they're ready to graduate and they're really excited about the next phase of their life. And you really get to also teach a kind of a graduate style seminar in those classes, because it's very small, 15 to 20, and they get to know each other, and they get to really in many ways be empowered in that class to want to just learn and really be able to affect what we learn and what we want to learn in the class. And we really get to do a lot of potlucks in the class. And so those two classes I think are my favorite, although I also created an immigration class, 425, because it's such an important, timely topic that we need to learn more about immigration law and policy. So that's another one of my favorites that I love to teach, is about immigration, because they get to do an immigration history paper of their own family's immigration. And so I'm just like blown away by the end, because when they present what they learn, is just wow, empowering, because they get to really see the struggles that their family went through, and then wow, they feel so privileged, and so they also feel a sense of responsibility and to be able to give back, right, to their family and to their community. So I feel like that's another class that I just love to teach.
That's great. Thank you so much. So we just talked a little bit about your favorite classes to teach, which is amazing. What made you interested in the major at first?
Wow. So for me, I was basically one of those students that found out about Chicano studies later in my college career, because it wasn't required, right? By the time I took it in my junior year in college, I was like blown away, and I was kind of upset actually why I wasn't required to take it earlier, knowing that I needed that. I needed to, because I really was lost in many ways about what I was going to do after graduation. I had been double majoring in two other traditional disciplines, sociology and communications, but they weren't fulfilling my soul. Like they weren't really fulfilling me, but finally when I took Chicano studies classes, I'm like, this is what I needed. I needed to complement the other disciplines with Chicano studies, because I was able to insert myself into history and know my history and know my family and my culture, and be able to then have a different perspective on what I was learning, and to be able to develop that critical analysis that I needed, because I felt that that was something that was missing in my other disciplines, is that critical analysis, that tool that allows me to then take apart what is being presented to me, and then put things back together in a way that is more inclusive, more equitable, right, for a just society. So it's a social justice component, the equity component, the diversity component, all those things came together when I took Chicano studies. And yeah, and it made me want to like continue to do that in graduate school, right? Like I felt like, God, I didn't get that in undergraduate, so I'm going to make sure to get that in graduate school. And I do that, and I went and I entered ethnic studies in graduate school, and I was able to then become an ethics studies professor because I loved it, and I wanted to be able to impart what I was learning to my students now, right? Making sure that they don't get away without taking a Chicano studies class. In your 4 years here, you just have to take Chicano studies and ethnic studies, because it's transformative. It was for me, and I know it will be for you.
And for any students that may be a little scared to jump right into the program, are there any clubs that students can join that are specific to the
Yeah,
major?
there's many clubs. I mean, there's God, I have so many to recommend, but I think that as we've grown on our campus, we've definitely become much more diverse in the kinds of offering of courses. I mean, I'm sorry, in clubs and student organizations. So historically, when I was here in 2008, it was only Mecha. That was it, Mecha Club, but then since then, we've definitely grown. We have a Casamiento, which is a Central American club, student club. We have Latino sororities now, and we have student just leadership clubs, and so many more diverse number of clubs. That I think it's important for students to really get involved in these organizations, student organizations, because it gives them the tools to be able to build a sense of community, but also to kind of network and develop those friendships that are going to be lifelong, right? Because after you graduate, you'd be surprised how important they become even more, right? So it's not just developing relationships with faculty in the classroom, but it's developing relationships outside the classroom that are just as important. So definitely, you have a lot to choose from.
That's really great. And lastly, is there any advice that you can offer a student who is just beginning their studies at CSUCI?
I think for me, a piece of advice for admitted dolphin is to really just go into this phase of your life with an open book, right? Like be open to learn new topics, new subjects, especially if you were never exposed to it in high school, right? So go with classes that you never have taken, right? And be open to learning, right? New subject matters. But also, I suggest students also look to make sure that you have instructors that are diverse. don't stick to one kind of instructor. Make sure that you have, instructors of color, female faculty, just a wide range of diverse instructors is so important, right? Because they provide a different vantage point and perspective that you may not have had. So definitely be open to learning new subjects from a diverse group of instructors, and look to meet also friendships that are not, are not similar to your past friendships, right? So look for and diversifying your own friendship network as well.
That's great. Thank you so much, Dr. Alamillo. And students, if you have any more questions about the Chicana Chicano Studies program, please visit go.csuci.edu/academics. Bye, and we hope to see you in the fall.
Bye, Beta Dolphins.